Hey, welcome to the Daily Space Weather, everybody. Whether you're viewing on BitChute or with the Dregs of Society on YouTube, we cover the daily space weather daily, and we look at all the data so you don't have to. Let's start out by looking at the local yellow dwarf on 171 angstroms. To see no sunspots. More ejecta headed Earth's way once again. And a bunch of plasma activity around the limb. You can see it over in this area. I'll let that play through a second time for you there. A bit of a plasma dance going on in the northwest also. And some activity around here and around here. Around there and around there. Next we'll look at the 193 angstroms to see a diffuse coronal hole in the equatorial region, a smaller one rising in the east, and South Pole coronal hole completely in charge of the current sheet polarity right now. We'll get to it in the magnetic data section. And next we're going to go to HelioViewer. Actually, we're going to go to Stereo A next. And that's where it's located. It's located right here, behind the Earth orbitally and ahead of the Earth in terms of seeing space weather. And you can see some ejecta still releasing at pretty high speeds out into the Earth-facing zone. So we've had several days of coronal mass ejections. Really, this is 5 days in a row or 6 days in a row reporting on that, and we're expecting actually some of that ejecta to strike today at some point. Very difficult to calculate the speed of these things, and we are working on a system to do that, believe it or not. So here you can see on the Soho coronagraph, this is part of the Soho movie theater setup. You can see ejecta on both sides of the coronagraph, a sign that it is headed toward you. So once again, yes, video's demonetized, and it's not, hey, David Devine, if you're watching, the videos are not demonetized because of the word coronal in the title, because we've titled the last 4 or 5 videos with coronal, and it's not happening. So anyway, we'll explain it in a minute. First, HelioViewer, here's 171 angstroms, that's the current image. There's the magnetogram, and again, there's an active region right here with a little brightness kicking up, and an active region here. Otherwise, not a lot to look at on the solar disk besides the big South Pole coronal hole area, and it's so big that it's visible on the 171 angstroms. Next, we've made some custom HelioViewer movies. I'll leave that size. Just to show you that giant plasma filament up there in the northwest. Tell your friends, tell your foes, point at it, and be like, whoa! Oh my gosh! And I'll let that play through a second time there for you, for all you solar sightseers. And here's a close-up of that area. For all you solar sightseers that haven't seen it close enough, there's a bunch of magnetically suspended ionized helium. And that is plasma, and plasma is not magic. Plasma cosmology is real, and the electric universe is totally debunked. Next, we're going to look at the solar system, and here is the position of objects. Whoa! It's a planetary alignment! Oh my God! Seriously though, there's where things will be in a week. As Venus swings around to make a pass and Mercury is going to lap us, here's where stuff is above my head. It's 3:33. Do you know where your constellations are? Anyway, I like to use in-the-sky.org to make myself sky charts. Hey look, it's Altair. Next, let's talk about the SETI project real quick. It's a citizen science project searching for extraterrestrial life, allowing you to use your home PC to crunch a bunch of data for Berkeley. That's coming to an end at the end of March after 21 years, and they've got ridiculous amounts of data that they've got to pour through. If you want to read about it, we'll link to the video below this one to the Extreme Tech article. SETI at Home project ending after 21 years. Let's talk about more citizen science projects. It's Zooniverse.org's Galaxy Zoo project. And Zooniverse.org is the largest citizen science project in the world, so jump on the bandwagon, perhaps, and classify galaxies. We need human beings to do it. Here's how it's done. That one's got features. It's not an edge on disk. I'm going to say it has a weak bar. Is there a sign of a spiral arm pattern? Well, certainly not. Is there a bulge? I'm going to say large. Please leave a comment if that's what she said. Is it merging or disturbed? I don't see anything like that. And let's talk about some features. We're going to say a ring, a lens or arc, and some overlap. And that's how you classify a galaxy, so check out galaxyzoo.org at the Zooniverse.org. Galaxy Zoo on the Zooniverse.org servers. Will you be the citizen scientist to identify that oddity? That's a good one. And don't be freaked out by all that red color. That's an artifact probably in the foreground. Get back to data to see the KP index down to 1. And we did see some incoming plasma density increases. And we'll get to it in a minute when we look at the solar wind data. First, 10.7 centimeter radial flux, still at 70 solar flux units. And shout out once again to spaceweather.com for putting up this video as we see the sun blasting comet pan stars. So I'll just play a teaser here with no audio to avoid copyright. And here is that comet. We'll leave links to this also as it gets struck by solar wind. And that would be less than 8 seconds, which makes it fair use ready. Next we'll look at the GOES X-ray flux, and it's totally flatlined. We're going to skip cosmic rays today, although if you want to see the update, watch yesterday's video, despite its being demonetized. Or perhaps watch it on BitChute, where we don't get censored. Next we'll look at the real-time solar wind. To see nothing too exciting in the BTBZ, phi angle steadily down around 62 degrees. Solar wind density has come down from its highs, which were around 16 protons per cubic centimeter. Now we're down to about 11, around 12.5 protons per cubic centimeter. And solar wind speed has been dropping down to 343. And NOAA believes this to be a coronal hole wind stream, so we are expecting to see the solar wind speed ramp up as the density drops down. Now I think there's going to be a coronal mass ejection strike mixed in there also, so if you see a sudden density and speed spike in the middle of the coronal hole wind stream, that would be the forecast. Again, I think that's coming today, and I think it's in the next 12 hours. Next we'll look at the geospace magnetosphere movies. Here's 4 hours of data, we hope. Looks like 4 hours of data. And we see a pretty steady magnetosphere here with some oddities there in the on the meridional plane view, as this weird bridging-like effect here is not the normal shape of things. But otherwise, not anything too crazy going on there. And next we're going to look at the magnetic ground perturbations, as we do see some oddities in the North Pole region. We see all of the ground magnetic perturbations focused on this area, very close to the geographic North Pole, when we usually see those over the Canadian or Siberian North Poles instead. Today we're seeing them in the net. And the South Pole's looking creepy as it usually does. As, I don't know if you're aware, new viewers, the South Pole is moving like this towards southwestern Australia, already off of the Antarctican continent. And we'll let this play through. And you can see those oddities over the north area, the entire northern polar region seeing fairly uniform perturbations, perhaps some sort of thing happening regarding the polar excursion that we're experiencing. Here's some more data. It's the GOES magnetometer. It's still very sawtooth looking, and we've been forecasting that for the last 2 weeks and being right time and time again. And it's because we understand how to interpret this data right here from the Gong 2. It's the top view ecliptic plane field plot. And you can see the entire current sheet, at least the part the Earth is on, is totally charged up by the South Pole right now, shown in red. North Pole polarity shown in green, looking weak. And we're going to continue to see spikiness in that GOES magnetometer data as you've got more direct field force lines here and more indirect field force lines here. And you're going to continue to see that until something changes. Just keep in mind the magnetic environment can do that with no warning. Here's the line of sight field plot, which shows the B field. That's the one on which you live in blue, and the South Pole and North Pole in the same colors, red and green respectively. That data, both of those data sets, 2 hours and 2 minutes old. Electron flux has dipped down, and we typically do see that with a coronal hole wind stream or a coronal mass ejection. And there you see, it looks like we're missing some data there from the GOES 14. And you see a big dip there in the electron flux as we saw that increase in the solar wind density. And we're expecting the speed to ramp up. And we're expecting a coronal hole mass ejection spike today. And we're going to see several of those over the next couple of days because there have been a whole bunch of different ejecta in the Earth-facing region. And this is how we do dry runs for major coronal mass ejections, folks. Anyway, there's the electron content forecast. A little bit of anomalies there over northwestern Africa. If you look at this region right here, you see some little charge ups there. That's a little anomalous. Nothing really to write home about. And next, looking at the ionosphere, it was looking a little weird yesterday with a sudden discharge around midnight. Let's see what's going on now. And looking pretty normal there. A little bit of charge ups there in the South Pacific. Here's the latest image. And we've been seeing ionospheric anomalies in this region for the last about 2 months. The videos have been demonetized on the regs, so when we say things about Google in the title, they don't get demonetized, but when we say things about coronal mass ejections in the title, they do get demonetized. I don't think it's because of the title, because some of the videos that say coronal mass ejection in the title have been remonetized upon manual review. So this one here has been confirmed by manual review that it's not suitable for advertisers. So make sure you watch us on Alt Tech, as the channel could be pulled by us or by YouTube at any time with no warning nor explanation. So please support us on Patreon, the real source of funding for the content. Thanks to our assistant and associate producers, our patrons, and to show our appreciation, that's why we show you things first. And thanks to our Subscribe Star base as well. You are also part of the real funding for these videos, as YouTube tries its best to pay us nothing. Now, if you are already a Subscribe Star subscriber or a patron, you would have already seen this electron micrograph. This is very recent, taken in the US, and those are the coronaviruses emerging from cells, and they get their name because of these blue spiky proteins on the outside of their genetic protein coat. And that's kind of the mechanism, that's kind of the key that goes into the lock of other cells, so to speak. We've been doing great on BitChute. Thanks everybody for subscribing there. And again, whether you're watching on BitChute or on YouTube, please also check us out on twitch.tv/smAsho, and wherever you're viewing the content, thanks for tuning in. And check out some of our older videos. Some of them are not time sensitive. Also follow us on other alt tech such as Minds. It's a Facebook alternative. You won't be censored. You won't be shadow banned. And you can earn crypto and things. Were you aware of this insanity? We've updated our insanity files. That's a guy tightrope walking over a volcano. We'll get to it in a minute. First, we're going to look at windy.com's pressure maps. And there are the pressure maps. We're going to let that advance. This is the GFS forecast, by the way, folks. And we'll let that get to about noon tomorrow my time. And if you're wondering where we're located, it's in the Lehigh Valley, Pennsylvania, eastern Pennsylvania. And next we'll look at earthquakes. Largest earthquake of the past 24 was this 5.5 magnitude at a depth of 115 kilometers at Argentina. And I still say that the prime location for a larger quake is someplace in western South America in this area. Although also my second choice would be Oceania, places like the Philippines, Indonesia, etc., Papua New Guinea. If you're in those areas, please have an earthquake plan, as we've seen lots and lots of deep quakes in those zones. Please be an asset, not a liability, if you are in a disaster. We're just going to scroll up the list here. Here's a deep quake at the Philippines. It's a 4.5 magnitude at 158 kilometers. And just scrolling up the list, it's another earthquake drought, folks. We're experiencing a drought of 6, 7, and 8 magnitude quakes. There's a very deep quake at the Fiji Islands. Fiji Islands right in the earthquake, the deep quake capital of the world. That quake of 4.6 magnitude at 536 kilometers depth. That's pretty deep. And by the way, mankind has no idea what's going down there, what's going on down there, as the deepest drill hole is no place near that depth. Here's a deep quake at Guam. Please leave a comment if you're viewing from a U.S. military base in Guam. You don't have to tell us your location. Just leave a comment, and we wish you all the best. And thanks for your service, by the way. That 4.5 magnitude quake is at 149 kilometers depth. Here's a deep quake at Argentina that we cited earlier in the video, at 5.5 magnitude and 115 kilometers. That one came in at just a couple hours ago here at 6:57 UT. And let's move on to talk about Instagram. Have you ever watched the Peter and Pete channel? Now, we had to troll Peter and Pete a little bit yesterday, as I think Peter and Pete are trolling also. And let me just play a clip from my Instagram feed. If you don't follow us there, it's instagram.com/smAsho. Right, so check this out. I'm watching this video featuring Peter and Pete. Whoops, let me try that again. Right, so check this out. I'm watching this video featuring Peter and Pete, two geniuses who say, "And you thought metals didn't contain hydrogen?" When has this ever been on anybody's mind? Seriously, go to this YouTube channel and subscribe. Peter and Pete. Peter and Pete. You thought, when was this on your mind? Have you ever been sitting around saying, "Hey man, I'm pretty sure that these metals have no hydrogen. I mean, if these metals had hydrogen, I'd eat my hat." You know, the only thing that they're trying to do here is prove all kinds of stuff that isn't true, such as when you use electrolysis to pull hydrogen from water, the hydrogen's coming out of the electrodes. And, yeah, if you're wondering, Pete was wearing a flat earth sweatshirt. Have you checked out smashomash.com/forum? Well, we've got all kinds of sections there, and one of them is the Insanity Files. And now on Instagram, we usually put up pro driving tips on Instagram. Today, we've put up a pro driving tip on smashomash.com/forum. And the pro driving tip is as follows. Fleeing an injury accident is a felony, at least in Pennsylvania. So some woman was hit at 3 a.m. on Route 1 in Bucks County, Pennsylvania, having her body dragged and torn to pieces and dragged by cars for miles. Human body parts found in Philadelphia. Nice job, idiots. Probably a bunch of drunks. And yeah, nobody's been implicated yet in this. And let's move on to talk about Daredevil Nick Wallenda defying gravity, walking over an 1,800-foot drop on a 1-inch tightrope over an active volcano. Yes, oh yeah, it's true, it's true. Mount Messiah. So there he is. I believe that's near the end of his process. He had to wear a mask because of the noxious fumes. And they even had to build the wires like the day of the thing. Because if they didn't, the wires would be destroyed, reduced to rusty crumbles by the sulfuric gases. So yeah, pretty crazy. And if you want to read about it, check out smashomash.com/forum. You can link to it at smashomash.org. Just scroll down and click on this link for the newly unveiled smAsho forum. And we're going to be changing smashomash.org soon. And let's talk about COVID-19, the illness associated with the virus. We've updated our section. It's now over 8 pages long. Fauci warns outbreak could overwhelm U.S. healthcare system. California declares a state of emergency. $8.3 billion are allocated by Congress. And I'm just going to let that scroll. Actually, I'm going to speed it up and get to the second article that we updated. Again, smashomash.com/forum. Set up a login. Create a topic. Tell us what you want to talk about. We've got Earth, geophysics sections, sections on the sun, sections on cosmology, sections on general science, as well as our insanity files, as well as our massive repository of information about coronavirus. We've been covering it since January 23rd, and we're well over 200 users now, so it's been going quite well, especially considering how throttled our content is on YouTube. The good news is that it's doing very well on BitChute, and everything is going pretty much according to plan. There, I took a screenshot there of the Reuters article about California declaring a state of an emergency. Coronavirus lingers in rooms and toilets, but disinfectants kill it. So that's interesting. One other note, air samples taken tested negative, but swabs taken from air exhaust outlets were positive, suggesting that virus-laden droplets may be carried by airflows and deposited on vents. So we try to keep our users informed. And here's a clinical trial. There is a trial of an antiviral drug underway right now. So here's the article about that. Perhaps have a read, and let's continue on. Here's the current state of affairs. Total confirmed cases worldwide, 95,425. Total recovered cases is 53,302. And check it out, the yellow graph at the bottom here has leveled out. That's a good thing, folks, as the yellow graph is non-Chinese cases. So that's what you want to see. That's good news. Please leave a comment if you think the coronavirus is a media scam designed to politically crash the U.S. stock market. Here's Nick Walenda's article on USA Today. I'll play a little clip for you here so we don't get copyrighted. Nice job, Nick Walenda, for not killing yourself. Please drop us a line, Nick, if you're planning to pole vault a volcano. We'll have to cover that. And today's volcano rundown includes Kluchovskoye, which is producing a 22,000-foot plume of ash. Mount Aso, flight level 7,000 there. Semeru, exploding, producing a small ash plume. Dacono, back on the list there, flight level 7,000 there. Popocatépetl exploding, 20,000-foot plume there. Revenador exploding, 16,000-foot plume there. And don't let those intermittent puff emissions at Sabancaya convince you to attempt to do a back handspring over the caldera, or tightrope walk it. That's probably a bad idea. And now we're on lightningmaps.org checking out the lightning situation. Looks like some more lightning is striking down in places like Mississippi and Alabama. And heads up Montgomery. There is thunder rolling in. And hey viewers, next time you hear thunder, check out lightningmaps.org. Blitzortung.org is pretty good too. And they're both based on the same technology. Next we'll go into value-added services. It's the U.S. Doppler radar map. And there's the current situation in the U.S. Next, we'll look at jet streams. There's the jet streams of the Western world. Let me rotate that a little bit. Congratulations, Brett. I saw that you were on the forums. And it looks like it's going to be very cold in Alaska, as there's air blowing straight from the geographic North Pole down into Alaska. Also, check out the extreme meridional jet stream flow here. Concentrated jet over the North Atlantic, splitting into two, doing a 180-degree bend there. Look at the oddities down here around South America, as there's been some fatal weather down there and landslides. And let's look at the eastern jets and move on with this thing, as we need to get the video out to our sources. Next, we'll look at water vapor maps. Here's Africa and Europe. Here's Oceania and the Far East. Which reminds me, shout out to Kimberly. And thanks for sending in some photos where I go, whoa, look at the cirrus clouds, oh my gosh. Mr. MBB333 called and he told me that those are made by gravitational waves. Can you believe it? Holy criminy! Here's a photo of Kimberly tailgating. Pro driving tip, don't tailgate. Here's some more cirrus clouds. Nice. And Kimberly's located in northeastern Australia, if you're wondering. There's some more clouds. Please leave a comment if you think a distant pulsar in a distant galaxy caused those clouds to form there, and we will laugh you straight out of the comments section. There's some more clouds, a bit of a mixture of some cumulus and some cirrus there. And there's some more cirrus clouds, perhaps stratocirrus. Difficult to tell the altitude here without other clouds to compare them. And here's Kimberly with devil horns. And next we'll look at the U.S. water vapor map. And we've got some interference here with the GOES satellite. Whether it's coming from space or in between the satellite and the planet remains to be known, but it's most likely coming from space, as we see very low levels of electron flux. And we've done a little zoom in here on Oklahoma, as there's a massive convergence happening there and a huge pressure gradient. And it looks like the jet stream is bouncing off of this dry air over Kansas and heading back up north again at that point. Anyway, let's move on, as we are almost out of here. And hey, smAsh team, thanks for being so delightful. Please don't forget to leave a comment, press like and subscribe, share on your social media, tell your friends, tell your foes. And here's the latest magnetogram. Again, no sunspots. A couple regions of a little bit of organization happening, like here and here and up here. Otherwise, not a lot going on. And we've brought back the 94 angstroms view of the local yellow dwarf. Don't forget to head to smAshomash.com/forum, set up a login there. Don't forget to stare at the sun. Don't forget to not drink, but if you do, don't drive. And since it'll never be now again, may the solar wind be at your back and the COVID-19 be absent from your cellular makeup.